I'm making this video telling this story for two reasons. One, I want to prevent this from happening to other photographers and videographers. And two, I'm tired of people asking me what happened. In this envelope is all the documents regarding the situation. So it basically started with an email from Noah Lahava, who is a director from Coverture magazine in New York. The email says how a videographer is needed for this project, and it tells me how the concept is to have a makeup artist do a quick touch-up on the models one at a time while I film. And then he mentions that the total budget is $6,500. I will be paid $3,000 in total, and the talents team gets $3,500. The deposit will be $5,000, and it will be issued before the shoot, and that will cover my $1,500 up front, and the talents fee, which is $3,500. The $1,500 remaining will be paid after the shoot. He attached a couple documents to the email, one being a fact sheet and the other being the job description. So I replied to the email saying, "This looks good. This is something I can tackle. It's actually really not that hard." So he replied to me with a contract saying I should agree to it and we can go forward. So I signed the contract, sent it back, and then he would send me a check with a deposit of $5,000. While I was waiting for the check to be mailed to me, Noah gave me contact information to this guy named Steve, who apparently is the guy in charge for the modeling agency. At this point, the conversation went from emailing to text messaging because it seems to be the more convenient way to communicate. So I got the check in this envelope. It's a priority mail envelope, so it costed maybe like $7 or something to send. The check is inside it. It was $5,000, just like everything was discussed. So when I had some time available, I went to the Chase branch, to deposit this check. And when I walked in, the banker asked me what I was there for, and obviously I was there for a deposit. "Oh, you have a deposit? Please go to our ATMs." I know these bankers are told to do this by policy, or they're trained to do this, basically to increase the customer satisfaction with the whole speedy process. Now, I might have been busy that day or whatever because I really didn't think about it, but I really intended to go to the bank teller so that they can verify the check, make sure it's legit and everything. Regardless, I went to the ATM not thinking about it, and the ATM took the check fine, and it says the funds are available. Just in case, I gave it a couple days, maybe 3 or 4 days, so that it could clear. Early in those 3 or 4 days, Steve, the agent, emailed me introducing himself, goes through the project to make sure I know what's going on, and says when he's available for this shoot. I replied saying that I will be in touch with him as I gather further information regarding the studio and whatnot, and I gave him my phone number and just in case he wants to give me a call or whatever. He replies asking for a full schedule, call sheet, location, date, time, all the information for the shoot, and asks where his payment is. At this time, I'm waiting for the check to clear, or I just wanted to give it a little bit more time so that everything would be good to go. But he replied saying that, "Oh, please keep me updated because I have to book the models before other gigs come up." So it made it feel like it was a little bit urgent, especially considering his available time was less than 3 weeks from that day. So after 4 days, I felt like it was enough time for that check to clear. And then he asked me for the payment again, and I said, "All right, fine, I'll send it today. What kind of payments do you take?" His first reply was Apple Pay or cash deposit into our bank account. I don't know who does that, honestly. So from then on, I felt a little bit fishy about this whole situation. I said, I can mail him a check or we can do some sort of secure electronic payment. And my go-to electronic payment, a secure electronic payment, is PayPal because you can do business transactions on there, and I've done business on PayPal. They even issue 1099s if you make a lot of money or whatever it is. So he replies, "Can you mail money order instead of a check? What other electronic methods are you able to do? Apple Pay, Zelle?" So I said I could do Zelle because I've never really had a bad experience with Zelle. But this also was during a time where I was super busy. I wasn't really thinking about it. I just wanted to get it over with. He says, "Send the fee to our accountant's Zelle details below." He provides me an email, his name, the amount. When I had the time, I sent the $3,500 over, which is their booking fee, only because the $5,000 was made available in my Chase checking account. So if I lose $3,500 out of $5,000, I still have $1,500 and I can work with that. Steve requested that I send him proof that I did send the money. So I provided him multiple forms of proof that I did send it, and he is claiming that I've never sent it, or he's never gotten it rather, maybe hoping I would send it again or whatever it is. So I said, all right, I'll wait. I'll even go back to the Chase branch the next day and make sure everything went through fine. That night, I logged into my Chase online banking just because I wanted to make sure everything was good. And I found out the $5,000 that were deposited into my account were taken away. So I had $5,000 deposited, I spent $3,500, and now $5,000 is gone. So if you simple math, I lost $3,500. Now, how does that make sense? If the check cleared, how could it be taken away from me? At this point, I thought this is definitely a scam. So the next day I woke up and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna DM Coverture Magazine or one of the higher ups from Coverture Magazine or even Noah himself because they have like a verified check mark on it. Noah replied rather quickly and he said, that was not me, I have no idea what this job is. Please note this is a scam. So what I did was on the way to Chase, because they didn't open yet, I called their fraud department saying I didn't make the $3,500 transaction. Chase said, okay, so we'll make a case, we'll open a case and then put all the necessary information in there and whatever. I waited for the Chase branch to open so I can actually walk in there and be like, hey, I thought this check cleared, why would it be taken away from me? What they told me when I walked into the branch was, oh, you have a business checking account. Because it's a business checking account, we make the funds available right away when you deposit a check. That doesn't make sense because a business checking account should probably have more security than a personal checking account. If anything, you should be insured for an X amount of money so things like this don't happen. They continue to explain how if I had a personal account or if I deposited to a personal account, they would look further into the check, make sure everything was legit before even making the funds available. Well, why couldn't they just do that for my business account? They should do that for all accounts. I'm not saying that Chase is a bad bank because of this, but I'm just saying that this is my situation. I'm still gonna bank with Chase and I have multiple credit cards with them. So the second part of this Chase bank situation is, since they opened a fraud case for me, they wanted to have me go to a police station and open a police report. So they gave me a case number and everything and attach a docket number to the Chase claim. That basically means it's a waiting game. I decided to call Chase back and be like, hey, just give me as much information as you can about this whole transaction. I'm trying to track this guy down. So they were willing enough to give me all the information they have. And that included his name, his email, what bank he went to, and the last 4 digits of his bank account. So it turns out it's a Wells Fargo bank. In the meantime, I decided to go to Wells Fargo and tell them the entire story and see if they can help me track this guy down, since I have his name, the last 4 of his account number, and all that stuff. So to my surprise, when we looked up his name, nothing came up, which was crazy because when you start a bank account, you need identification. You have to show them your ID. Sometimes you have to provide your social. And even when you close the account, so let's just say I gave him the money, he took all the money out and he closed the account. His information, if it was legit, it would still be there in the database. His account was not trackable at all. So I asked the banker, what should I do at this point? Because I went to the police station already, I went to Chase. None of them were able to do anything about the situation besides the cops. They said they were just wait on it. So what the banker said was to go back to the police station and ask if they can issue a subpoena towards Wells Fargo Bank in order to get more information about this account. So I went back to the police station, explained that entire thing to the officer. He looked up my case number that was already open and said, we can't do anything about the subpoena, but here is the detective's office's number. If you have any documents, you can fax it over to them and it might be able to speed up the process. So at this point, I knew it was just gonna be a waiting game. So I asked myself, what can be done now in order to better the situation? Since I've already thought about changing the name of FonzMedia, I decided I can just close it down anyways because I don't want my business to be centered around me. The main reason for this business is basically to provide opportunity to people that do the same thing that I do, or people who want to learn, like the younger people, college students, stuff like that. Basically a freelancer network or community where everybody can work together, and that can't be done if the name has to do with me. So this $3,500 loss thing basically triggered the fact that maybe I just should go ahead and close down and start another business name. This whole process has been really stressful for me. Like, I've had no sleep. I can't see the screen right now, but you can probably tell I've gotten really little sleep. I've gotten stress acne. I've never broken out in weeks, months. Like, this looks like shit. So moving forward, I just want to thank Diana, Bear, Eric, Brian, Grace, and Cameron. Like, this whole situation is a mess, and I just got to keep moving forward. If any photographer, videographer wants to learn from this experience, it's make sure emails from your clients are legit. So make sure it's not like a fake. Well, all emails are real, but like the fake ones, for lack of a better word, they're the ones that are posing as other people, and it says at something totally different.com. It's not like a corporate email. Check their portfolio, make sure all their stuff is legit. Unfortunately, that didn't work for me because they used Coverture's name, and I really hope this guy gets in trouble for that. Third, when you get a check, make sure it's legit. Even if it looks legit, even if the ATM takes it, from my experience, go to a bank teller. You actually have to sweet talk bankers into using like some machine that verifies that the check is real on the spot. Now, another trick is to actually request to cash a check. So when you have a check, request to cash it. Also, you may have an account that was like my Chase business checking account, where the funds will be made available when the check really hasn't cleared just yet. Last but not least, do not make any electronic payments unless you intend on losing that money and you're sure. So yes, Zelle is the fastest way to pay somebody, but you're never getting that money back, or you're never disputing that money and getting it back. I actually did some research, and I did find an article on, posted by the FTC themselves, and they said, watch out for modeling scams. I'm going to provide that link below. It's a good read. You can skim through it. I really don't want to do this, but give me a thumbs up if you feel my pain, and subscribe if you don't want to see any more stories like this and want to hear more positive stuff. If I land a sponsor, they could probably pay the $3,500 in a heartbeat. Yeah, but let's be real. There's only like 150 people watching this.